Sean Deveney at sportingnews.com. Has covered the NBA for a long time, Sean, and I'll start off with that. Agents around the league, there was some thought that Philadelphia wouldn't be a place that players would come because of what they did over 3 years. Are you hearing something different about that now?
Well, yeah, and among a certain class of player, I think is what I would say is that when you get the guys who are looking for money, Philadelphia's got plenty of that, and B, playing opportunity or the chance to be something that be part of something that is a little more on the upswing. Whereas the Sixers were just a team that you didn't bother calling before because they weren't going to sign anybody who was young and promising. They were only going to try to get those guys in the draft. Now you have the sense that that you've got a chance to hook on with the team and get some minutes and prove yourself and of course, like I say, get a decent payday.
Now, at this point, you mentioned you're not getting Kevin Durant, you're not getting LeBron James. You're getting that second-tier guy. I mean, is that really what they're in play for at this point of where they are?
Oh yeah, and I think that there's a pretty good case to be made for them if you are in that tier because, like I say, if you're a Harrison Barnes or Alan Crabb or somebody like that, and you want to show that you can be a number one, number two option, then you're going to get that opportunity in Philadelphia, probably more so than in a lot of other locations. So, I think that is that does make that more of a destination because as they try to turn the corner, I think a lot of agents I've talked to have respect for Brett Brown, and of course, Brian Colangelo's been around a long time, and then has a lot of relationships. So, I think that that there is the thought that that's not a bad situation to step into as a young guy with something to prove.
Sean, what about if Hinkie's still here? If same situation, same team, same everything, they got Simmons, Hinkie's still here, same story?
Well, Sam never had the relationships. I mean, that was one of the criticisms of him is that he didn't have the relationships with the agents. He didn't have the relationships with other GMs. That there was, something lacking in terms of the personal touch there. He wasn't a schmoozer, and that's not necessarily a bad thing considering what they were trying to do. But it was always going to be a problem when they got to the point of, okay, let's try to turn the corner now. Let's try to add players. Having alienated a lot of people over the last few years. How do you turn that? How do you all of a sudden say, "Hey, it's Sam Hinkie, come visit. We want to sign you." And it's a tough transition to make after a few years of sort of taking the complete opposite tack and almost isolating the franchise there for a little bit. So it was always going to be a tough transition for them to make, and I don't know that this was going to be the summer they would have made it if Sam had stayed. I don't think it was, but this is definitely a sort of a different atmosphere, a different vibe around that team now, I think, when you ask people around the rest of the league.
Sean Deveney's here with us on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Sean, so in the NBA, are there destination cities and franchises? And if so, is Philly and or the Sixers one of them?
Well, I don't know that there are actually destination cities. I think that there were once upon a time that, you wanted to be in New York, you wanted to be with the Lakers, you wanted to be in their markets because you could really amplify what you were going to do in terms of sponsorships and things like that. That's not so much the case anymore. I think that that's much more. I mean, look, the Knicks struck out on a bunch of the free agents they've tried for in the last few years. Same with the Lakers. If you stink, it's going to be hard to sign players, even if you're in a good market. Just the way things are now in terms of sort of the shrinking of the world, that you can be Kevin Durant and have a major and do major sponsorship deals from Oklahoma City. You don't necessarily need to be in those big markets. Look, yeah, Miami, Chicago, L.A., New York, they're always going to have a bit of an advantage. Texas teams are always going to have a bit of an advantage because of the tax thing, same with Florida. But in general, I don't know that there really are what you would call destination cities in the NBA anymore. I think you just have, some teams that have slight advantages.
Now, how about the off-the-court stuff, Sean? Because Mike and I got in a debate with another guy, Bill, yesterday on the show about the Sixers building a new practice facility and how much can that sway people. And then that sort of morphed itself into maybe New York, and is Madison Square Garden still the mecca that it used to be? I mean, so do the off-the-court factors play a role as well?
Yeah, I think practice facility is that's definitely something that that players are going to look at. Medical staff and medical facilities, those sorts of things. Those have become much more important. In terms of how players are sort of tested and how their strength and their stamina is tested and built up and things like that. That's the kind of stuff players want to see, much more so than necessarily what the rest of the city around has to involve, because you're going to spend so much time in the practice facility, and you're going to try to avoid being injured, and so you want to know that you've got the right facilities and right staff and things like that. So yeah, that stuff is definitely much more important. But in the end, it comes down to do I have a chance to win here? Is this a place where I can sort of take my career to the next level? That sort of thing, and that can really happen in just about any city.
Sean Deveney from The Sporting News is with us. In your article, Sean, over at sportingnews.com, you've got a quote from an agent that said, "I've got guys who are telling me they want to go there. I mean, excited to go there. It's a different approach." I'm assuming that has to be an indicator that they think two things. One, they like the young talent that the Sixers have accumulated over the last couple of years. And I guess two, they feel that they will be an active participant in this free agency.
Yeah, absolutely. That the Sixers are planning on being aggressive, and I think a lot of people read that or have I've seen on Twitter and or the emails that I've gotten as well. They're going to be stupid and they're going to throw money around. I don't think that's the case. Look, you have to be aggressive. This market this summer, just about everybody's going to be a little stupid. That's the way it's set up because of the TV deal and all that stuff. We already know that. So yeah, you're going to have to overpay. But if you want to start building something, then that's what it's going to take. And they're not going to overpay for somebody who's 31 and is coming off an injury or something like that. They're going to try to overpay for those guys who are the restricted free agents who their teams might not be willing to match. If you can make enough of an offer, those are the kinds of guys that they're going to look for, is those 23, 24-year-old guys who have already proven a little bit in the league and probably have more to show if they get more of an opportunity.
Yeah, one name, Harrison Barnes, we keep hearing his. Are there other names that you think the Sixers, you're going to start seeing them go after once the clock strikes midnight?
Yeah, I think Alan Crabb from Portland is probably somebody who is gettable because they've got a logjam at the guard spot with C.J. McCollum and Damian Lillard, of course. So if you want to pay Crabb, then you're not going to have to worry too much about them matching an offer. Portland's already pretty well set, and they don't want to overpay for a backup guy who probably should be a starter. So he'd be somebody who I would look for. Again, those restricted free agents like Jordan Clarkson from the Lakers, who I think ultimately the Lakers will match anything for him. Evan Fournier from the Magic, again. I think he probably gets matched. But you've got to make the offers and see where it goes from there, and hope that your offer is such that that it scares off the team from matching. So I think guys like that are going to be the prime targets. Obviously, they'd like to get a point guard, but one of the things I point out, and you guys know that just aren't many point guards on the market this summer. So that's not likely that's how they're going to wind up addressing that position. position.
Of course, Sean, you say point guard, and how about the possibility of a trade? Because the Sixers do still have Noel, they still have Okafor. We heard rumors about trade possibilities on draft night. What are the possibilities for the Sixers to make a trade for a guard?
Yeah, I think there's no question that the trade possibilities were there on draft night. I think that the feeling was that there's no need to hurry, and a lot of times teams will sort of lay some groundwork on draft night that even if that trade doesn't happen, that you might hear rumor, then it's very easy to resurrect that a few weeks later. Once the free agency dust settles. So, yeah, I think we'll definitely hear some of those things come back up again. Ricky Rubio will be very much available, and that would be obviously the kind of fit. I mean, he's only 26 years old. I know it seems like he's been around forever, but, he still has a lot of good basketball left in him. So, he would certainly be a possibility. Maybe somebody like Patrick Beverley, sort of a proven NBA veteran, not somebody who you're going to necessarily build around, but certainly somebody who you don't mind, having on your team. And if you have to move him to the bench when you get a better starter, then that's the kind of thing you do. So, yeah, there's no question. Dion Waiters, is another guy that could sign a restricted free agent. I'm not sure I would love him as a starter on any team as a point guard, but somebody who could hold down the position and then eventually move into a six-man position. That's something that I'd expect to see as well.
Now, if they make a trade, who's more valuable, Noel or Okafor?
It's a good question, and you would automatically think Okafor. That would be sort of the instinct given the numbers. But defensively, there are still a lot of questions about him, obviously, and whether he can ever develop into the type of defensive player that you feel comfortable with. So there are teams that have them sort of evenly valued. But I think on the whole that Okafor would still be the one who would bring back more in return. But you're probably going to need something more than that in order. If you want to get a top flight point guard in return, then you're probably going to have to give up more than that. But Okafor, as far as possibly bringing back, a decent guard and some draft picks and some other considerations, that's entirely possible, but you're probably not going to get, a player who puts up the kind of numbers in return for Okafor because there are so many concerns about his defense.
John Deveney from The Sporting News with us. Has covered the NBA for a long time. Sean, where does Kevin Durant land?
I think he stays put. That's what I've thought all year, and that's what people tell you. People who know him say, well, he doesn't want to leave. It's not really his personality. He doesn't want to, he doesn't necessarily want to, need the attention of switching team. He likes it in Oklahoma City. But, I think if anybody can lure him away, it's obviously the Warriors. If you have the chance to come in and win a championship right away, that's pretty tempting, and that's a tough. That would be a tough thing to turn down if you're Kevin Durant. So I still would have the Thunder as the number one team, as the team most likely to sign him, and have them as pretty overwhelming favorites. But when he gets that meeting with the Warriors and Draymond Green is there and talking to him, and Steve Kerr is as good as there is in terms of making a pitch like that, and Steph Curry, you've got all. It's going to be very, very tempting for him, no question, to go to the Warriors. I think the Celtics have maybe an outside chance. They'd be my dark horse out of those teams, but I think it's going to be, you have the Thunder as the overwhelming favorite, the Warriors as sort of the next possibility, and then the Celtics really as a 5% chance kind of team.
Sean, of the top-tier free agents, and I'll let you kind of decide who you think's in that list there, do you think there is a major free agent that will change teams?
I wonder about Mike Conley. I've heard all year that, he's happy in Memphis. He wants to continue. He likes it there. He's been grateful to the franchise and all that. But I think it's sort of struck him lately that that they're about to head into a rebuilding. That they're probably not going to get much better, and that if he wants to leave and wants to find a way to stay competitive with the team, then he might have to go somewhere else to do that. Dallas really likes him, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Mavericks finally land the big free agent that they've been after for so long. I think Mike Conley would probably be the biggest contender for me as far as the major free agents who will actually leave.
And Sean, this is a lot with the NBA wants, right? They want their star players to stay in the city that drafted them. Isn't that kind of how the CBA was constructed, to give the team that drafted you the best chance to bring you back? They want their stars in one city?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That they do give advantages to the home team. The problem, though, and what the NBA wasn't bargaining for, is that they didn't want super teams. They didn't want teams that could pretty much eliminate other teams just because they're so good. The spike in the salary cap has really thrown a monkey wrench in that, and so that's why you see the Warriors in position to, even if they don't get Kevin Durant, which they could, they'll still be in position to re-sign Harrison Barnes and possibly even Festus Ezeli, and really not even go to the tax. In doing so, that's not what the CBA was supposed to have happen. You were supposed to, if you had so many star players, you were supposed to have to lose somebody so that the talent was spread out among the league. But this spike in the salary cap has really, like I say, it's really thrown a monkey wrench in that whole thing, and that's sort of why we're why the Warriors are in the position they are today.
So then this kind of circles back to Philly. If that's the case, do more teams try to emulate Philly if 2 years down the road Philly is one of those quote-unquote super teams built on their own? If they have Simmons and Embiid and star players that they got their hands on because of their prior ineptitude.
Yeah, and that is ultimately one of the reasons why the NBA really pushed the Sixers and other owners really pushed Josh Harris to sort of change their trajectory a little bit, because the big fear was that, hey, if this is successful, then everybody's going to want to do it. You're going to, or at least, enough teams to where it's going to, throw the integrity of the league into question. So, that would be the irony, is that if the Sixers do turn a major corner and all of a sudden find themselves, anything close to a contender, that you might have other teams say, hey, we're gonna do that too, despite pressure from the league not to do that sort of thing. You're going to see other teams say, that worked, I want to do that too.
So will it be successful? Do you think 2 years down the road, people are going to look back and say, wow, look at what Philadelphia did?
I don't think so. I don't think it will be successful enough that quickly with the players that they acquired. If Embiid's so far away, they're going to have to trade either Noel or Okafor. If Saric comes in and is a star, that might change things. Obviously, they're going to have to pretty much get an entire backcourt from free agency. So I think that you'll still have some teams who will be able to look at that and say, well, yeah, but they still built half their team through free agency. So, you can stand to be bad for a couple of years, which a lot of franchises have done, without sort of intentionally tanking, and go through things that way and not necessarily sort of commit to being as bad as possible over a course of years. That's the thing the NBA wants to avoid, and I think they will.
So, Sean, what do you think Sam Hinkie's legacy will be?
It's interesting because I'll always wish we could have seen what happened, and I think a lot of people are in that boat. Whether you liked it or not, it was unique and it was something different. But I think he'll wind up being sort of washed over by history because of the fact that you'll have a situation where he just wasn't around long enough to really see what would have happened if they stayed committed to that.
Are you surprised, as a guy who's covered the league for a long, long time, Sean, that his name still comes up so much and that he is revered by fans for a team that won, 47 games in 3 seasons. Is it surprising to you that people still ask and care about this guy?
Yeah, it is, but like I say, it was such a unique thing that he was doing that I think that enough fans understood it. Enough fans said, yeah, let's just commit to this because it's so hard to sign a free agent. It's so hard to get a major guy to go from one market to the other, and you just don't see it that much. You've got LeBron and Chris Bosh back in 2010, but geez, that was 6 years ago. You just don't see major players switch markets like that. So if you're going to do it, then you either have to do it by trade or you have to do it by drafting. And you've never seen a team commit to the draft the way they did. So it is fascinating the number of people who got it and understood it and wanted to see them keep going with it.
And I guess the hard part is to commit to the draft, where the draft is really a crapshoot more than any other time, because of when you're drafting, you're not drafting for a guy that can help you maybe today. You're drafting for a guy whose ceiling could help you 3 years down the road. So you've really got to commit to getting one of those top 3 picks, because even if you're drafting number 5 or 6, that guy might not help your team immediately. So to really focus on the draft is a crapshoot in itself.
Yeah, because look, and we don't know. What if Embiid never really gets healthy? What if Okafor, is sort of what he's always going to be? What if he doesn't really improve from where he is, and they trade Noel and Saric is a bit of a bust? Well, then you can say, well, did this really? Was it worth it? You can say that just because you had the picks doesn't mean things are going to work out.
Sean Deveney, Sporting News here on the Sports Bash. Read his article on the 76ers and some quotes from agents who actually say their players are excited about coming to Philadelphia. Who would have known a 10-win team has people that want to play there? Sean, thanks so much. Great stuff.
All right, Mike, thanks.